Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And now, if you guys are enjoying the daily episodes, please make sure you press the like button and subscribe because it really helps out the channel a ton. And really, I just want to check if it helps a little bit for the YouTube algorithm. Also, the question of today is, are you still holding strong? Are you still holding XRP? I mean, we're like 2.5 years since the all-time high, so have you still been holding or have you thought about selling it at all? Let me know in the comments down below. Really interested to see what you guys think. First video today comes from XRP Owl, who says, if XRP isn't the one, then what digital asset is and why? Criteria: can't be proof of work, must have equal current utility usage, so Ethereum meets criteria but different use case, must be enterprise ready, must have liquidity rails built, and asking for a friend. Well, I actually find it quite interesting because he's trying to make it sound like there's no competition at all, which actually is definitely quite interesting in this regard because I mean, for the real specifics, XRP is really at the top of their class. I mean, XLM comes quite close, but since they're so different, I don't really know. I guess that's one of the only ones you could really put in there. If you're gonna put things like Chainlink and whatnot, you might always fall short in one of the categories, and I think that's where he really did a good job with that question. All right, Misha Laterman asked on Twitter, or actually said on Twitter, active Bitcoin addresses rises to 955K on May 1st. Only twice since 2019 has daily active addresses been higher than it is today. June 28, 2019, and during the bull run of December to January of 2017 to 18. 9 days to halving, never been more bullish on the long-term fundamentals of Bitcoin. And fun fact, in all the videos before, we actually noticed that short-term, most people are bullish on Bitcoin as well. And now we're getting some confirmations for the longer term, which is definitely amazing to see as well. All right, Shaco the Wrecked Doggo, and this actually comes from or this actually made me ask the question in the beginning, if you guys are still holding XRP. He says on Twitter, I am still all in on XRP. And by the way, this previous one came from Misha Laterman. I'm still all in on XRP. I don't need to invest in Bitcoin, Ethereum, or other coins. I want the biggest profit when the best use case for short and long term. Diversify? Lol. It's two ways now. Filthy rich or I lose it all. My money is on the Phoenix. And personally think this is the stupidest thing ever. He has a little bit of a point because some people like this, but it's really, really, really stupid from a financial perspective. Please never listen to this. Do diversify. Do split up your money because really, see it from this perspective. What if we're right? What if we're right? XP does really good, but it only does good to, like, let's say, for example, $2.50. And Bitcoin was the one to go to $10 million per coin, right? Not because XRP's utility wasn't enough or anything like that. No, but just because Bitcoin was, way earlier in this big adoption, at that point, you're really going to hate yourself and maybe, really despise your decisions because you didn't have any Bitcoin at all. You just had XRP. Same goes for Ethereum. Same goes for a couple of other coins. I would always recommend to get at least 5 coins and, get a maximum of 75% in one thing. Never go above that because I just think it's a stupid thing to do. Make sure you at least diversify at least a quarter, at least 25% you put into different things to make sure you're always ready for, the most amount of scenarios possible. I think that's the smartest thing to do. All right. Crypto Eddie, and this thing doesn't load, but says on Twitter, pure adoption, XRP added to compliance Swiss Deep, liquidity provider for investment banks, private banks, commercial banks, fintech companies, and exchanges in Europe. And yeah, pretty damn juicy. I actually saw a couple of other people say it on Twitter as well, but she was the first one where I saw it from, so I thought she received or should earn the shout out. Anders Lundberg, X__Anderson on Twitter, says XRP as collateral for all different financial instruments. Why are people not talking about this? This would bring a ton of demand for XRP. And this comes from the official Ripple website, and it reads, while this paper focuses on cross-border payments, Ripple and XRP offer the same benefits of cost savings and collateral elimination to all corners of the global financial system. Collateral usage has been on the rise in areas of particular relevance for financial stability. Trillions of dollars are trapped in collateral accounts to support repo and reverse repo transactions, offset counterparty risk in the derivatives market, and minimize credit risks in payment and settlement systems. To give just one example, in the 100 trillion plus market for non-cleared interest rate swaps, $5 trillion in collateral was required to offset OTC counterparty risk in 2014, while the margin for cleared derivatives rose to $455 billion. And then also, just as the redundancy of Nostro accounts needed to service international payments for correspondent banks can be consolidated into one XRP pool, financial institutions can begin to consolidate collateral accounts needed to participate in different markets into a single XRP positions that can provide one point of interchange to every other financial instrument. Ripple technology can then eliminate settlement risk and reconciliation cost as transactions move between systems, releasing billions of dollars annually back into the economy while strengthening financial stability. So if you think about that, it's pretty interesting find. At least, I personally think that. Unfortunately, most are too lazy to read the small print, brother. Is it so small or what? Guys, this type of stuff you gotta read because this is the most interesting parts. This is really the juicy stuff, That's what I like. All right. Bitcoin's near-term performance may not be representative of the bigger picture. And one of the reasons for that is we got the halving coming up here, which is a really short-term thing. And whatever happens now, we should not really be adding into our longer-term analysis. I mean, to a certain extent we should, because the halving might have an effect on longer-term things. On the contrary, the bigger moves in crypto, they don't really stem from these short-term advancements or crazy changes. They stem from, I guess, longer-term just history. There's a lot of emotion in it. There's a lot of history. There's a lot of things that are already set in place. And thus, I don't think a halving like this can really affect the longer term as much. And also, what might happen right here is that, we really get pulled into a certain way of thinking that, this is all this is all happening because of the halving, which might be, but we don't really know. Or on the exactly opposite side, we might be thinking that everything's going to be going downhill from now forever, or everything might be going up from here forever, but we're kind of ignoring the bigger picture there. That's at least the way I like to see it, which is, I think, a better way of seeing it, though. Bitcoin analyst who called $3,200 bottom in 2018 thinks this trajectory is next. Please ignore this type of stuff. Sometimes some of these analysts are right. Doesn't mean they'll be right a second time. And most of the time, they've done, let's say, for example, 8 predictions. They've done a couple in the year. One of them is correct, and then they make it, they milk that one. They're making it seem like they knew all of this. Or what they sometimes do as well, some of these analysts, is that they, post a couple of analyses like that, and afterwards they're like just going to say they were right, even though they posted the analysis after it already occurred. So, for example, I post nothing now, and then, for example, 5 days, I post a chart of today saying, look at what I predicted. And when you check their Twitter, you can't see anything from that period. Now, even though this person might have been right that time, it could definitely be so. It doesn't say anything for the future, and thus you can check out the analysis. Like for example, here you can maybe do something with the wave theory, but yeah, I mean, I personally don't want to count on it, and I don't want to make you guys excited for something that has no certainty of happening at all. Pompliano sparks Twitter debate after saying Warren Buffett can buy every Bitcoin in the circulating supply. Pump said Warren Buffett has $137 billion in cash. That is almost enough to buy every Bitcoin in the circulating supply. CZ said, this is where math is deceiving. It's only true if every holder is willing to sell at the current price, which is obviously not true, as there is no 21 million Bitcoin sell wall. So one point he's trying to make there is that me, for example, I would not sell my Bitcoin if it were under $100,000, except for if I'm doing a really, really short-term trade. What that means, though, is that Warren Buffett would not at all be able to buy all the Bitcoin because it will most likely cost him, let's say, $1.1 trillion before all the people are willing to sell it. Because, well, yeah, you at least got to do it times 5. At least that's what he has to pay for it all. Alas, Mr. Buffett will only be able to buy a small portion of Bitcoins and at very high prices at that. So he'll be able to buy, let's say, for example, 100,000 Bitcoin with not that much of a problem. But once you start to look at, for example, I would say like 700,000 Bitcoin or maybe even 500,000 Bitcoin, you're starting to look at a really, really, really big issue because you'll be emptying these exchanges. You'll be doing a very, very bad thing for them, and the prices are just going to inflate like crazy because people are like, yo, one guy's trying to hold it all. Let's not sell. That's one move. Another is like, I don't even want to sell these Bitcoins, so where is he going to get them from, right? And eventually it will run dry. So buying all of them is not an option, or you'd have to have a lot more money in the bank. And last but not least, Bitcoin price outlook for May 2020. Time for more bulls or bears. While Bitcoin is about to go through quantitative hardening while the whole world is quantitative easing, what will that do for the Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin and US dollar exchange rate value for the month of May? Well, nobody knows. I mean, there's a couple of analyses out there, but still, I personally believe that you should stay back, as a lot of these guys are just pointing things out and saying things for their own interest, but really they're not here for yours. Later today, I'll possibly talk a little bit more about the price and what I personally think, but today was just a little brief update, as I had not done any update today yet, and I had to get this stuff out to you before it is too late. Thank you guys all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys again in another crypto video. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment down below to support the channel. See you guys again in another crypto video.